We also got module here. Now, module is an option I'll skip for now because it really only makes sense once we learn about modules in TypeScript and how we can connect multiple files. So let's ignore that for now. Lib is an interesting one though. Lib is an option that allows you to specify which default objects and features TypeScript knows. With that, I mean things like working with the DOM. Let's say in index.html, we have a button. And on this button, we say, click me. And when we click this button, we just want to print the message. Now in app.ts, we can select this button. We can get access to this button with document, query selector, for example, selecting the first button we find. Now, if we do that, then this works. We get no TypeScript error here. So if I go to my button and I add an event listener here, I get an error here actually because TypeScript doesn't know for sure whether we find a button here. For now, we can work around that with an exclamation mark after this line, and I'll come back to what exactly this does in the future. It basically tells TypeScript, don't worry, such a button will exist. We will get a value here. So now we can add a click event here and then define some anonymous function maybe where I console log clicked. Now, the interesting thing here is not so much that I had to add the exclamation mark. As I said, I will come back to that. But that if I run TSC, this just compiles. Now, shouldn't TypeScript complain that document is unknown to it? How does it know that we have such a document constant or variable available? How does it know that even if we have that available, that it holds an object which has a query selector method? How does it know that button is something which has an add event listener method? How does TypeScript know all of that? Now you might say, of course it knows, because in vanilla JavaScript, this would be valid code. But keep in mind that when you write TypeScript code, you don't necessarily write it for the browser. You could be writing your Node.js application with TypeScript, and there indeed, this would all not work. So the reason why this works is this lib option. And as you see, it's not even set here, but if it isn't set, then some defaults are assumed. If it's not set, the defaults depend on your JavaScript target here. And for ES6, it by default includes all the features that are globally available in ES6. For example, the map object, which is available in ES6. Therefore, it wouldn't complain if you use map. So it assumes all these ES6 features which are made available globally in JavaScript, that they are available in TypeScript as well. And in addition, it assumes that all DOM APIs are available. You find the detailed descriptions about all these options, by the way, in the official docs, which are linked in the lecture at the end of this module. So long story short, if the lib option is not set, some defaults are assumed, and these are typically the defaults you need to have TypeScript run in the browser. So all the DOM APIs and so on. If we comment this in, and I now compile everything, I therefore get an error, because now by commenting it in, we don't have the default settings anymore. Instead, we now say, hey, please include some default libraries, so some default type definitions, you could say, which I will give you in this array. And as you see, I'm not passing any description, any paths, any values here. And therefore, what I'm saying to TypeScript now is, hey, regarding all the defaults you know, please take this into account, and you know nothing. So only if that's commented out it works, because then TypeScript will assume some defaults. If I set the defaults explicitly, well then TypeScript of course adheres to what I'm setting here. And hence here, for example, it doesn't know document, it doesn't even know the console here. So therefore, we want to set this to more reasonable values. And again, if you hit Control Space in here, you get auto completion. And for example, there we could add DOM. That's an identifier, and there are some predefined identifiers which TypeScript understands. Again, you find a complete list in the official docs. The docs for this option are attached to this lecture as well. So this is an identifier TypeScript understands, and it's an identifier which basically unlocks all the DOM APIs in TypeScript so that TypeScript understands what you're doing there. So now already you see it knows console, it knows document, and so on. So now since we're working with next-gen JavaScript, we should also add the ES6 option so that TypeScript also understands all globally available ES6 options. And it's also a good idea to add DOM iterable and script host. With that here, we would unlock all the core JavaScript features you would want to work. And this, by the way, is the exact default setup you get when you set target to ES6 anyways. So if you comment this in and set it up like this, you have exactly the same behavior as if you don't specify lib at all. Now here I will comment it in though. And with that, this will compile. Again, setting this is a bit redundant though, just want to explain what it does.